Every single natural vanilla bean on every shelf in every grocery store on Earth was pollinated by a human hand, not a machine, not a bee, a person. This requires pressing two microscopic parts of a flower together using a fingertip and a tiny wooden stick. The gesture takes about 3 seconds, and it is repeated billions of times a year across the farms of Madagascar, Indonesia, and Tahiti to sustain the global supply. That exact motion traces back to 1841. A 12-year-old boy, born into slavery on a volcanic island in the Indian Ocean, achieved what European botanists had failed to do for 3 centuries. To see why a child's intuition succeeded where empires failed, we have to look at the anatomy of a single Mexican orchid. Deep in the tropical lands along the Gulf Coast of Mexico, in the region now called Veracruz, a specific vine crawls up the trunks of canopy trees. This is the original and exclusively native home of Vanilla planifolia. It belongs to the orchid family, and it holds a rare botanical distinction. Out of all the orchids on Earth, it is the only species that produces an edible fruit, the long, dark, fragrant pods found in the spice aisle. The local Totonac people carefully cultivated the vines in shaded forests as far back as the 1200s. In 1427, the expanding Aztec Empire conquered the Totonac lowlands and immediately forced them to grow the vine as a tax paid in spice. The Aztecs mixed the cured pods with cacao beans, ground corn, chili peppers, and honey to create xocolotl. This was a bitter, spicy drink strictly reserved for priests, elite warriors, and Aztec royalty like Emperor Montezuma, who reportedly drank dozens of cups a day. In its earliest history, vanilla was a form of currency, a high-value luxury locked away from the common people. When the Spanish arrived in Mexico in 1519, they encountered this intoxicating dark pod and brought it back across the Atlantic. Within decades, it reached the royal courts of Europe, becoming a prize for the aristocracy. For 300 years, European botanists shipped cuttings to botanical gardens and planted vines on tropical islands across their empires. The vines grew beautifully, the flowers bloomed on schedule, but no fruit ever formed. Inside the vanilla flower, a thin membrane called the rostellum acts as a physical barrier between the male and female parts, preventing self-pollination. The only insect small and persistent enough to push past it was the Melipona bee, native exclusively to Mexico. Adding to the difficulty, each vanilla flower blooms for a single day. The petals open for just a few hours in the morning before closing forever. If the bee misses that brief window, the flower dies barren. Without the bee, vanilla could only grow in Mexico. For 3 centuries, European science had no practical way to bypass this botanical monopoly. This standstill lasted until 1841 on Reunion Island, a French colony in the Indian Ocean. French colonists had brought vanilla cuttings there in the 1820s, and just like everywhere else, the vines had sat barren for 20 years. On a plantation in the town of St. Suzanne lived a 12-year-old boy named Edmond. He was orphaned at birth and enslaved by a colonist named Fariol Bellier Beaumont, who had taught the boy how to cross-pollinate other crops by hand. Edmond applied that knowledge to the orchid. Steadying the blossom with one hand, he took a thin wooden splinter and gently lifted the rostellum, the tiny membrane separating the male and female parts. Using his thumb, he then pressed the pollen mass against the stigma, completing the pollination manually. After 3 centuries of botanical failure, an enslaved child with no formal education performed the necessary movement in a few seconds, using only a toothpick and his thumb. Edmond's technique spread rapidly. Within years, it was taught to farmers on Madagascar and across the tropics. The Mexican monopoly was gone, and for the first time, commercial vanilla production expanded globally. Slavery was abolished on Reunion Island in 1848, and Edmond was freed, taking the surname Albius. Yet, despite his contribution to a global industry, he received no financial reward. He died destitute in a public hospital at the age of 51. While farmers adopted Edmond's agricultural method, chemists in 19th century Europe took a different route. In 1874, German scientists figured out how to synthesize vanillin, the primary flavor molecule found in the beans, using pine bark. Natural vanilla beans contain over 250 individual flavor compounds,
but vanillin is the dominant molecule. Synthetic vanillin isolates that single molecule cheaply and at scale. Today, over 85% of all vanilla flavoring consumed worldwide is synthetically derived. This industrial process made a rare luxury available to the masses. Over time, it shifted the cultural perception of vanilla from an elite prize to something considered plain. In applications where the spice is the central focus, the synthetic version falls short. The full complexity of a natural vanilla bean, with its hints of caramel and smoke, comes from that original symphony of 250 compounds. That distinct quality keeps the physical crop in demand. Today, the island nation of Madagascar produces roughly 80% of the world's real vanilla supply, using Edmond's hand-pollination technique. This chart tracks Madagascar vanilla bean prices. New vines take years to mature, making harvests vulnerable to weather. When cyclones hit, prices spike wildly, sometimes passing $500 a kilogram, nearly the cost of silver. These spikes create a dangerous environment. The crop becomes a target for theft, forcing farmers in Madagascar to sleep in their fields to guard the vines, occasionally leading to violent clashes over the pods. Even after harvest, the pods undergo a slow process of curing. They are blanched in hot water, wrapped in cloth, and packed into boxes to sweat. For the next 6 to 9 months, farmers lay them in the sun during the day and pack them away at night, a cycle that slowly darkens the pods and develops their deep aroma. Real vanilla is one of the most volatile, labor-intensive, and contested agricultural commodities on the planet. Every year, during the brief pollination season, roughly 70,000 smallholder farmers in Madagascar wake up before dawn. They walk through their orchards, inspecting each vine for freshly opened flowers. Despite modern advancements, this delicate process has never been mechanized. A farmer approaches the flower and executes the exact same 3-second gesture used in 1841. The fragile orchid still blooms for only 1 day, and the global supply of natural vanilla still depends on millions of these perfectly timed human movements, performed one flower at a time. The next time you taste real vanilla, you are experiencing the end of a chain that reaches back to a plantation on a volcanic island. You are tasting the enduring legacy of Edmond Albius, a child whose 3-second motion permanently changed the world. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind this everyday object, hit the like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what everyday item we should investigate next.